There are places on our planet where reality surpasses any fiction. You would probably never imagine that in the city, with the most millionaires per square meter, the most Rolls Royces, and the most skyscrapers on the planet, thousands of people survive in cages measuring less than 2 square meters, or in veritable ovens where the temperatures are unbearable. Some even prefer prison to continuing to live in these conditions. Don't miss this new video from Uncensored World to learn more about Hong Kong, one of the most enigmatic and richest cities on the planet, with contrasts as extreme as having the longest escalators in the world, islands made of garbage, and overcrowded cemeteries that force bodies to be exhumed and cremated after a few years to make more room. A life on the edge caused by the lack of space, both for the living and the dead, in one of the most densely populated places in the world. Hong Kong, an enigmatic special administrative region of China, is full of unique curiosities such as secret tunnels, beliefs in ghosts that seduce men, clubs where men or women are hired as escorts, and exotic dishes such as fried snake or steamed jellyfish. Pay attention to this video because we assure you that everything in it will surprise you. Let's get started. Between the skyscrapers that scrape the clouds and the hills shrouded in fog stands a vibrant and enigmatic city and island where modern times coexist with ancient traditions and urban secrets that seem to defy all logic. At first glance, Hong Kong dazzles with its natural harbor, endless lights, and a population density that overwhelms anyone walking through its streets. But beneath that glitz of modernity, the city hides extreme contrasts. Excessive luxury coexisting with extreme poverty, ancient temples alongside glass financial centers, and alleys where life seems compressed into tiny, suffocating cubicles. Hong Kong is located on the southeast coast of China and is not an independent country, but a special administrative region of China. This means that, although it belongs to China, it has a high degree of autonomy. It retains its own legal system, currency, the Hong Kong dollar, trade laws, customs, and freedoms that do not apply in the rest of the country. Hong Kong is therefore a territory that functions almost like a country within another country, China. It is a region with its own rules and customs, while remaining under Chinese sovereignty. To better understand this, and also to comprehend the reasons for the extreme life that occurs here, it is good to know the origins of this amazing city. Centuries ago, in this region nestled among the waves of the South China Sea, there was a small fishing port, a small group of humble villages where fishermen lived off what the sea provided them. Their houses were made of wood, their boats were simple, and life passed slowly, tied to the cycles of fishing and subsistence agriculture. The name Hong Kong was given to it in those days because the word literally means fragrant harbor, referring to the aroma of the spices and woods that were stored and traded in its waters. A modest port, but with a natural charm that attracted travelers and merchants. Over time, that small community became a strategic enclave and grew. During the 19th century, British colonial expansion sought safe ports for its trade in Asia. Thus, China ceded the small island of Hong Kong to Great Britain in 1842, an agreement that would forever change the region's destiny and mark the beginning of its transformation from a small fishing village into one of the most famous and powerful cities on the planet. The British, interested in trade and navigation, began to build infrastructure, docks, warehouses, and roads connecting the island to the mainland. Little by little, Hong Kong became a free port, open to international trade, attracting merchants, immigrants, and workers from various regions of China and Asia. Thus, these humble fishermen began to mix with merchants, laborers, and entrepreneurs, forming a rapidly growing society. During the 20th century, the city continued to grow at a dizzying pace. The arrival of immigrants from all over China, especially during periods of war or internal conflict, accelerated urban expansion. Hong Kong thus went from being a small port to a financial and commercial center, with densely populated neighborhoods, night markets, and the construction of the first modern buildings that would begin to shape one of the most famous skylines in the world. After World War II and industrialization, Hong Kong established itself as a center of manufacturing and trade. The economy grew by leaps and bounds, and the city began to attract international investment. Meanwhile, humble fishermen and laborers continued to live in small houses or the first modest buildings, coexisting with a new class of entrepreneurs who were beginning to define the city's wealth. Hong Kong's return to China took place in 1997 and marked the beginning of its special status, becoming a special administrative region of China, a territory that belongs to Chinese sovereignty, but maintains its own legal system, currency, customs, and freedoms. Today, Hong Kong is a metropolis of surprising extremes. It is the city with the most skyscrapers on the planet, and one of the cities with the highest concentration of millionaires per square kilometer. Hong Kong is also one of the cities with the highest concentration of millionaires on the planet. It is estimated that more than 300,000 millionaires live there, making its streets a stage where extreme wealth is visible at every turn. Thanks to this, Hong Kong is considered one of the richest cities on the planet, where economic prosperity coexists with an urban density that imposes extreme limits on everyday life. Opulence is particularly visible in its streets and luxury hotels. The famous The Peninsula, for example, displays rows of Rolls Royces and high-end cars, which cost at least $300,000 each. Hong Kong also holds the title of being the city with the most luxury cars per capita in the world, a phenomenon that reflects both the purchasing power of its elite and the marked urban inequality. The Port of Hong Kong remains a symbol of its humble origins, while the glass skyscrapers and financial centers show the evolution towards a globalized city full of opportunities, but also of truly extreme challenges, as you are about to see. Many people associate New York or Shanghai with skyscrapers, but the reality is that Hong Kong is the city with the most skyscrapers in the world. To clarify, in this context, skyscrapers are defined as buildings that exceed 150 meters in height. New York has approximately 323 skyscrapers. Shanghai has around 203, while Hong Kong has over 650, a figure that makes it clear that its skyline is unmatched. Each building reflects the ingenuity of a city built upwards, where horizontal space is limited, and every square meter is worth its weight in gold. This urban phenomenon is not only a response to the lack of available land, but also symbolizes Hong Kong's economic dynamism and architectural ambition, creating a vertical landscape that is unique in the world. Hong Kong's geography partly explains this phenomenon. The city sits between hills and steep coastlines, forcing construction to be vertical. To connect its neighborhoods and overcome the steep slopes, Hong Kong has the longest escalators in the world, known as the mid-levels escalator, which allow thousands of people to travel daily between hills and urban areas without having to walk long distances. These escalators have a total length of approximately 800 meters, which is equivalent to walking across 8 soccer fields lined up one behind the other. This infrastructure not only facilitates daily transportation, but also reflects how the city has adapted its architecture and mobility to a complicated terrain and an extraordinary population density. The population density in Hong Kong is truly impressive, with more than 7 million inhabitants living in just 1,110 square kilometers. To put this into perspective, Hong Kong has millions more inhabitants than countries such as Costa Rica, which has a much larger land area but is home to only around 5 million people. This extreme overcrowding creates constant pressure for the living, and although it may sound strange, also for the dead. In Hong Kong, space is so limited that even cemeteries cannot expand horizontally. For this reason, bodies buried in traditional graves must be exhumed approximately every 6 years to free up space for new burials. When a body is not claimed by relatives, it is cremated. The ashes are deposited in columbariums, which are vertical structures with niches for urns, adapted to this lack of land. This turns cemeteries into a kind of vertical building for the dead, an extreme reflection of the city's density and how every square meter must be used to its fullest. If relatives decide to claim the body, they can keep it in their custody, either in a private columbarium or by transferring it to another location. In this case, If it is not cremated, rent is paid for the space, which can be renewed annually or for longer periods, ensuring that the remains remain in that niche as long as the fee continues to be paid. This creates a complex and expensive market for eternal rest in the city, where even death is affected by the scarcity of space and the price of land, making every square meter a valuable resource for the living and the dead alike. The result is a surprising and unique system. Hong Kong's cemeteries are vertical, compact, and strictly regulated, a direct consequence of living in one of the most densely populated cities on the planet. An extreme reality that is surely more difficult to live with than you are about to see. Thousands of people come to Hong Kong every year in search of economic opportunities, education, or simply a better life. But with the city unable to expand due to geography that limits construction to height, an extremely competitive and expensive real estate market has been created, where available space has become a scarce resource with astronomical prices, almost unimaginable for most. The reasons for this extreme lifestyle have to do with geography, but this is only one piece of the puzzle. As you now know, the territory of this special administrative region covers just 1,100 square kilometers, a small area of which a staggering 75% is classified as protected areas and national parks. In other words, it is a very small space, more than 2/3 of which is protected. This means that the landmass where urban life is concentrated is reduced to only 25% of the total. Between 7 and 8 million people must coexist on this tiny percentage of habitable land. The conclusion is inevitable. If there is no horizontal space, life must be vertical. This forced densification drives the price of each square meter into the stratosphere, laying the foundations for a housing dystopia. The obsession with square meters translates into absurd sale prices. A tiny apartment of just 10 square meters can fetch $300,000 or $400,000 US. If we translate the figure to the street, a 29 square meter apartment in a 44-year-old building costs about $550,000. The Hong Kong government itself has a direct interest in maintaining this price madness, as it makes a profit on every sale. One of the peculiarities of this real estate market in Hong Kong is that most of the land is owned by the government. This means that buyers do not purchase the land in perpetuity, but rather acquire rights of use for a limited number of years, generally 99 years for new land, although in some cases this may vary. Once this period ends, the land may revert to government control, or in some cases the contract may be renewed by paying additional fees, according to current regulations. This structure has a direct effect on prices and market dynamics, as each sale, resale, and contract renewal generates significant revenue for the government, making it not in the authorities' interest for land prices to fall, but quite the opposite. Land thus becomes an extremely limited and valuable resource, and citizens and businesses must compete fiercely for access to it. As a result, Hong Kong holds the title of the city with the highest real estate prices in the world, surpassing cities such as Zurich, Singapore, and New York. According to Deutsche Bank's Mapping the World's Prices report, the average price of prime properties in the city center is approximately $25,946 per square meter. This figure places Hong Kong at the top of the global list, with a significant difference compared to other leading cities in the real estate market. In addition, the Housing Affordability Index in Hong Kong is alarmingly high. According to the same report, mortgage payments represent approximately 150% of residents' disposable income, indicating a serious housing affordability crisis. This situation has led to profound social inequality. While the elite enjoy luxurious residences in skyscrapers, a large part of the population lives in truly precarious conditions. If you can't buy, the only alternative is to rent. But this option is not cheap either, as Hong Kong is also the city with the most prohibitive rents in the world. For example, an apartment of less than 30 square meters can be rented for between $2,000 and $3,000 per month, while a 20 square meter dwelling can exceed $2,000 per month. Considering that the average salary in Hong Kong is $2,800, this means that a family must spend between 75% and 80% of their income just to pay the rent, leaving very little for food, transportation, or education. For those who do not even earn the average salary, the options are reduced to shared apartments or subdivided flats, where several families or individuals live in spaces that were originally designed for a single-family floors measuring 5 to 10 square meters per person. Low ceilings and minimal ventilation are the norm. These apartments, called tenement flats, show the harsh reality of a city where population density and lack of space create extreme living conditions. But they are not the worst examples of this way of life in Hong Kong, as you will soon discover. Before we get to cage homes and oven homes, it is worth discovering one of the best examples of this reality in the Monster Building, a complex of 5 colossal, interconnected blocks in the Kowloon district, where around 10,000 people live in apartments measuring between 15 and 30 square meters, known as tenement flats, old or low-quality apartment buildings where many families or individuals live crammed into small spaces. Its brutal geometry, with hundreds of windows stacked up to the sky, has made it a pop icon, a visual fetish for tourists who photograph it without perceiving the tragedy that beats, floor by floor, inside. The Monster Building is famous in Hong Kong as it is one of the most densely populated places on Earth, forcing residents to rethink every interaction, every movement, in a space that barely allows for coexistence. In the Monster Building, natural light and ventilation are a luxury that few can afford. With no outside views, the apartments depend on the small interior space and narrow courtyards to receive any rays of sunlight or airflow. In an attempt to improve their conditions, some residents create additional spaces dozens of meters above the ground, extending their terraces or balconies with improvised structures made of bamboo, wood, or metal. These extensions are used to hang clothes, store belongings, or simply gain a little breathing room within the confines, showcasing the extreme creativity required to survive in these vertical environments. Upon entering the complex's central courtyard, the feeling is immediately oppressive. The sky is reduced to a narrow strip, and the walls close in on the observer in 360 degrees. The air is dense and heavy, physical evidence of the lack of ventilation in a climate of constant heat and humidity. In this vertical labyrinth, natural light is not a right, but a luxury reserved for a fortunate few. Overcrowding begins here, in the urgent need to make use of every inch of space. The residents of the Monster Building fight for air and sunlight, hanging temporary bamboo structures from the windows and creating improvised networks of clotheslines, a pathetic architecture of despair, a building that has become a symbol of resistance, a way of reclaiming a little space and dignity in the midst of a life compressed between walls that seem to constantly close in on the inhabitants. The residents of the Monster Building are, ironically, lucky, as they can still afford a private apartment, albeit a tiny and suffocating one. This reality prepares us for the descent into the lower circles of this real estate hell. A large number of inhabitants of one of the richest cities on the planet live in cages measuring less than 2 square meters, and some even in veritable living ovens, which you are about to discover. This is the most extreme form of housing in Hong Kong. People, often elderly, who must adapt to living in tiny spaces, measuring just 1.5 to 2 square meters per person, known as cage homes. These metal or wooden cubicles are grouped together in shared apartments and are mainly inhabited by low-income workers and elderly people. But if you thought cage homes were the worst, the reality can be even more brutal. In Hong Kong, there are so-called oven homes, a form of housing that takes overcrowding to an almost unimaginable level. These makeshift structures are built on roofs and terraces of skyscrapers, using lightweight and inexpensive materials such as polyurethane, plastic, or thin wood, which provide little insulation from heat or cold. During the warmer months, these houses become living ovens, reaching temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius, where breathing, moving, or sleeping becomes a true test of endurance. The precariousness of these cage houses and oven houses affects not only the body but also the mind. Constant exposure to extreme heat, lack of ventilation, and the impossibility of escaping the cramped space cause extreme stress, chronic exhaustion, and respiratory or cardiovascular diseases. Every square meter becomes a scene of survival. Hanging clothes, storing food, or simply moving around requires pinpoint precision. The combination of heat and humidity makes daily life a constant challenge, while the risk of accidents, such as falls or short circuits, remains latent. Many residents of oven-like homes are poor workers or elderly people who have no other choice and who live day to day on the edge, enduring conditions that would be unimaginable to most of the world. Some have even stated that despite the freedom these homes may offer in terms of independence, they would prefer a prison cell to facing the discomfort and risk of these structures in the scorching sun. These realities reflect the human cost of a city, where every square meter is more expensive than anywhere else on the planet, and where inequality is tangible even in the most basic of things, the right to a safe and livable space. The reality in Hong Kong is so diverse and complicated due to the lack of space that much of the city is developing underground. Kilometers of underground tunnels run through the heart of the metropolis, connecting subway stations, shopping malls, office buildings, and residential areas. These spaces were initially built to decongest the streets and protect citizens from typhoons and torrential rains, common phenomena in this region. But over the years, the tunnels have become hubs of commerce and urban life, where shops, restaurants, and offices mingle with endless corridors and escalators. It is as if another city exists beneath the glitz of the skyscrapers, equally vibrant and fast-paced. In these underground corridors, thousands of people walk, shop, eat, and commute to work every day. In a place where every square meter above ground is worth its weight in gold, the tunnels allow for expanding usable space without touching a single inch of land. Some of these tunnels house small electronics stores, restaurants, and even beauty salons, creating an underground ecosystem that seems to have a life of its own. Despite these extreme conditions, something that will surely catch your attention, and ours, is the reason why many people do not leave Hong Kong. But before we get to that point, we'd like to ask you, could you live in cage homes or oven homes, or would you be willing to pay the price of rent in Hong Kong? Why do you think people continue to live here? How much does rent or housing cost where you live? Pause the video and leave us your comment. It will be great to hear from you, and as you know, it's the best way to help us continue working every week to bring you interesting content like this, so thank you. The reason people prefer to live here is simple and logical. Hong Kong remains one of the world's leading economic centers, with job, educational, and business opportunities that are not easily found elsewhere. For thousands of workers and migrants, staying in Hong Kong means access to better-paying jobs, renowned schools, and the possibility of improving their lives, even if the price is living in extremely cramped conditions. The lack of comparable alternatives in other regions means that, despite the harshness of life, many prefer to stay and find ways to survive, rather than give up the opportunities the city offers. For many workers and migrants, opportunities in Hong Kong come with unconventional jobs that allow them to survive in this unforgiving city. One such occupation that has proliferated in recent years is that of escorts, where attractive men and beautiful women offer companionship to wealthy clients, sometimes in private or exclusive settings. This phenomenon reflects how economic pressure and a lack of alternatives force many people to find creative ways to generate income, even in jobs that would be unthinkable in other cities. Curiously, this labor reality is mixed with traditional beliefs in Hong Kong culture. Many city dwellers believe in the existence of female ghosts who seduce men, spirits who haunt ancient sites or abandoned residences with the intention of luring them in. In such an extreme urban context, some of these workers could be mistaken for or associated with these legends, creating an unsettling mix of modernity, economic necessity, and superstition. But this extreme reality is not limited to cage homes, cemeteries, or seductive female ghosts. It is also reflected in the way the city manages its waste. A striking example is Tuen Mun Garbage Island, an artificially constructed structure for managing urban waste, as there is no space for garbage here either. Hong Kong imports more than 90% of its food and produces tons of garbage every day, making waste management a huge challenge. To achieve this, Tuen Mun Garbage Island functions as a controlled landfill, where waste is compacted and stored in an organized manner. Over time, part of this garbage is flattened, covered with soil and other materials, and forms a new artificial soil on which structures can be developed or even utility areas expanded. In a sense, the city transforms waste into a limited spatial resource, making garbage part of the available territory. This process reflects how Hong Kong makes the most of every square meter, to the point of integrating waste into the urban landscape and creating space where before there was only refuse. The island is, therefore, an extreme example of the pressure of population density and how the city turns even garbage into a spatial asset, essential to maintaining its daily functioning. If you walk around Hong Kong or visit buildings such as the Monster Building or even underground in these tunnels, you are also likely to discover exotic and colorful markets full of life, where people with or without money mix and savor life like in few other places on the planet. Much of this is due to the fact that Hong Kong is considered one of the best gastronomic destinations in the world, with food as varied as it is exotic. From the most traditional dim sum, small steamed dumplings filled with meat, seafood, or vegetables, to dishes that might seem impossible to Western eyes, such as fried snake, prepared with spices and cooked to order, or steamed jellyfish, a crunchy delicacy served cold that combines texture and flavor in a unique experience. It may seem strange to think that in one of the cities with the most billionaires on the planet, an estimated 20% of the population lives in poverty. This means that here, approximately 2 million people have been left out of the promise of prosperity in this city. Of those 2 million poor people, between 200,000 and 300,000 live in the most extreme and cruel form of housing known. In those cage houses and oven houses you have seen, a testament to a reality where dignity is traded in order to try to survive in the most ruthless real estate market in the world. The final message is chilling. This extreme reality is not an accident, but the direct consequence of a system that prioritizes profits per square foot over the dignity of millions of souls. Paradoxically, despite all these extreme realities, the impossible prices, the cage houses, the ovens on the rooftops, and life compressed between concrete walls, Hong Kong is considered by many to be one of the safest cities on the planet. It is almost a mystery how, in such an extreme city, the vast majority of its inhabitants do not commit crimes, respect the rules, and live together in order, demonstrating that, even in the midst of the most visible inequality, a deep sense of civic duty and community persists. If you've made it this far, you probably want to know more about these extreme realities of one of the most fascinating and enigmatic cities on the planet. That's why we at Uncensored World have done extensive research to offer you the most complete and accurate information, not only to understand the other side of Hong Kong, but also to help you plan a smart trip, making the most of every experience without spending a fortune. Because yes, as you can probably imagine, sleeping in Hong Kong can cost much more than in most cities around the world. But if you know how to get around, it is also possible to enjoy it without spending all your savings. From Europe, the most direct way to get there is to fly to Hong Kong International Airport, one of the most modern and busiest airports in the world. There are direct flights from cities such as London, Paris, and Madrid. From the Americas, flights depart mainly from Los Angeles, New York, or Mexico City, with an average duration of between 13 and 16 hours. As for entry requirements, citizens of most European and American countries do not need a visa for stays of up to 90 days. All you need is a valid passport and proof of your departure ticket. Getting around Hong Kong is surprisingly easy and efficient. Its public transport network is one of the most advanced in the world. The metro connects practically the entire city, and fares are very cheap, with an average journey costing around $1. Buses and trams are also affordable options, and if you prefer to travel by sea, the ferries between islands cost less than $1 and offer spectacular views of Hong Kong Harbor. The official currency is the Hong Kong dollar, and its value tends to remain stable, with an approximate exchange rate of 7.8 Hong Kong dollars to $1. It is advisable to carry some cash, as although most places accept cards, some small restaurants or street stalls do not. There are ATMs on almost every corner, and most of them accept international cards without any problems. Despite being the city with the most luxury cars on the planet and being full of billionaires, enjoying Hong Kong does not necessarily mean emptying your wallet. The street food is among the best in the world and also one of the cheapest. You can try traditional dishes such as dim sum, fish skewers, and wonton noodles, which cost between $2 and $5 per serving. Night markets such as Temple Street Night Market or Ladies Market offer a vibrant and authentic experience where you can eat, shop, and explore without spending more than $10 or $15 per night. Accommodation, however, is another matter, as you might have guessed. A mid-range hotel can cost between $120 and $180 per night, depending on the area. In central neighborhoods such as Central or Tsim Sha Tsui, prices can easily double. If you're looking for more affordable options, hostels or capsule hotels can cost between $40 and $70 per night, although the spaces are very small. In contrast, luxury hotels such as the Peninsula Hong Kong or the Ritz-Carlton, located on the top floors of the International Commerce Center, can easily exceed $1,000 per night, offering spectacular views and out-of-this-world service. For those seeking exclusive experiences, Hong Kong offers unique possibilities. Riding in a Rolls Royce Phantom, one of the city's most iconic cars, can cost around $500 per hour, while dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant can exceed $300 per person. But as you've seen, not everything in Hong Kong is excessive luxury. Part of the charm of this fascinating city lies precisely in that contrast. A city where you can have breakfast for $2 in a small traditional restaurant and, a few hours later, watch from a glass terrace as the skyscrapers light up like giant fireflies at nightfall. From Uncensored World, we hope you found this video as interesting as we did, and that it helped you discover Hong Kong, as you can see, one of the most extreme islands on the planet. If so, don't hesitate to leave us a like and a comment. It's the best way to help us continue working to bring you interesting content like this every week. Or like this video you can now watch, to discover another of the most fascinating places on the planet. Click on it. You're going to enjoy it.